So what is going on, guys? Yes, today the Fallout 4 reviews and the gameplay embargo was lifted, and we got to see what the review scores for Fallout 4 were from all the different reviewing outlets, and we also got to see what the gameplay was like, and that also includes the frame rate test that Digital Foundry did for Fallout 4 on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Now, of course, we know that the PS4 and the Xbox One have got a specified system architecture, and compared with the PC, it is going to be slightly behind. That is just how it is, unfortunately, but we know for a fact that the Xbox One is slightly less powerful than the PS4, and it was quite shocking to see the results of this frame rate test. There's a picture on screen right now showing the results of this frame rate test in different elements of the actual test itself. So there was a video on Digital Foundry, I'll link it in the description so you can go watch it, and yeah, pretty much it shows that the Xbox One in particular was suffering a lot from stuttering and also heavy frame rate drops. Now, the PS4 does hold up slightly better, but it's not a constant 30 frames per second at all. It's kind of a 28 to 25-ish, whereas well, the Xbox One, as you can see on some of the photos, actually dropped to 0 frames per second when it stutters, and also another one at 5 frames per second, and then it kind of hovers around the 26, 27 mark. So overall, the performance on the two consoles is not terrible by any imagination. It's not terrible, of course, but there is elements of it which seem a little bit buggy, and it seems probably not right for the game of this stature to have these frame rate drops. If I'm honest, I mean, Fallout 4 is a fantastic game. I'm not taking anything away from this, of course. You have to remember, Fallout 4 is one of the biggest games that come out this year. It's got a 9.5 from IGN, got a 9 from GameSpot. I think it's currently on a 90 on PS4 on Metacritic and a 91 on Xbox One. So it's doing perfectly fine in terms of reviews, and obviously the rest of the game is perfectly fine. But I think this is going to be detrimental upon the game's overall kind of view and people's perception on it, because they will notice the stuttering and they will think, whoa, what the hell's going on here? Why is there suddenly a massive frame rate drop on Xbox One, and then a couple of frame rate drops when there's heavy kind of shooting mechanics and that kind of stuff on PS4, that kind of thing. So it is an interesting talking point, and of course I think with Fallout 4 it is a game which everyone was hoping was going to be this fantastic game, and of course it is, and that's what the reviews have already shown us, that the story is fantastic, the gameplay is fantastic, all the different elements that we know Fallout is great at is still perfect in Fallout 4, of course. It's just that you compare it to a game like Metal Gear Solid 5, of course, which came out in September, and is a very, very similar. I'm not saying it's like similar in terms of what the story is and all that kind of stuff, but it's an open world game. It's got gun mechanics. It's basically very, very similar in terms of style to Fallout 4, just not in the sense of story or whatever. But we know that game ran at 60 frames per second and 1080p on the PS4. I think it was 900p and 60 frames per second on the Xbox One. And you compare it to Fallout 4, and firstly, the graphics of Fallout 4 are definitely not as good as Metal Gear Solid 5's. And also the frame rate is weirdly different. I don't know if there's something going on there. I don't know if... Obviously, Fallout 4 is a much bigger game than Metal Gear Solid 5 is. It's just that for some bizarre reason, they managed to get Metal Gear Solid 5 running at 60 frames per second, and then you get Fallout 4 running at about 25 frames per second on the PS4. It's a massive difference, and I think it's something that eventually will be fixed by Bethesda. I think it is just something that is going to worry a few people before they purchase the game. But as I've said, overall, it's not going to be detrimental upon the game's quality overall. It's just a few little things which people are going to pick up on, and people will think it's going to be some horrible thing. It's not. It's not really that bad. We've already seen gameplay of it, as we see on the Digital Foundry video. It's not terrible. It's just people are going to pick up on it, and I thought, why not make a video about it to kind of show that people that there is these problems, but they're not going to be detrimental upon the game's quality. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Again, go watch the video in the description to get a kind of idea of what the actual game is like on PS4 and Xbox One for yourselves. And I'd like to thank you a lot for watching, and yeah, Panther.